remember being a little kid, and my dad and the neighbors, all of our neighbors that lived close to us, they all fished. Well, the next thing I know, they were taking us all fishing. Started a Cub Scout troop for our little neighborhood, and naturally we went fishing and camping and just learning what we could about being outdoors and enjoying ourselves. It just spiraled on from there.
Spiraled downhill?
Yeah, downhill from there. Well, we really went downhill when I found girls and motorcycles.
Yeah, that's a total detour for almost everybody.
Yeah.
It's amazing that you do that and then you come back.
Right.
And when you come back, it's just 100 times better.
Yes.
Definitely, because then hopefully you can afford a little
and
more.
And cheaper.
Welcome into Southeastern Fly. This is the Angler's Influence. Today we're talking to Ronnie Grumpy Howard. We are with the mobile studio again. We're sitting inside Cumberland Transit at the Fly Shop down in Nashville. Where are we? We're on West End, right?
Yep, West End Avenue, close to Vanderbilt and Centennial Park.
The Vandy guys, baseball team, national champs. Yep. You can actually see the stadium from here,
yes.
The football stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from just right out the back door. I appreciate you having us come down. I know you've really been looking forward to this. I could tell by the text and phone conversations that we had that you've always wanted to do one of these. But thanks for coming and doing Influence with us. I think it's going to be a good evening for us to have a discussion. So you started your fishing with the neighborhood folks taking you out, and then you discovered girls and cars and everything that goes along with that. What about your fly fishing? Let's start there.
I started fly fishing not seriously when I was about 14. Well, I was building houses during the summer at that time, and we were building some houses next to where one of the guys lived. We went up there to the house one day and found a fly rod and everything in the garage, which belonged to his dad, and some popping bugs and things like that. Really didn't know what they were, but, we took them.
Mm-hmm.
They had a place to tie a line to. So there was a pond right down from us. We went down there and started playing that pond. We found out that an automatic reel does not work real well with a popping bug and 60-pound mono on there. It will snap the front end of the rod off real quick. That was my first foray into fly fishing.
We just had somebody come in here and talk about you being a legend. But you don't get good at fly fishing on your own. Somebody influences you. Somebody or something or somewhere influences you, and that kind of starts turning your head and getting you going down the path of fly fishing. So what was the first influence that you can remember that was a major influence on you?
I mean, I'd started back fly fishing once again, not too seriously in the 80s. I was still at that time doing some bass fishing, a little tournament fishing and stuff, and we got up on the river with some friends, and we got fairly proficient about catching fish, on the caney and talking to people, coming down here to CT at the time, and the fly chucker was in business. Came down there and talked to them. They were all nice and, and helped us in many ways. But we just started catching fish and having a blast. Once we learned a few of the tricks and they helped us out there. Well, we went to Arkansas to go fish over there one year. We fished a little red. Well, you'd think we was on another planet. We could not buy a fish, it seemed like. So we got done for the day, went up there to the fly shop up the road there, and they was fixing to close. And we said, well, we'd, kind of like to get a few flies that you would recommend. We want to start early in the morning before you open, and maybe a little bit of advice. He said, well, guys, I've been here all day. I'm kind of like to go home and get a drink and, and kick my shoes off. I said, well, we got some Scotch in the truck. Well, let's open the doors and go in and get you set up and bring that bottle. That was Jeff Hawthorne. Jeff and his brother Tom owned the Ozark Angler in Heber, Arkansas, and Little Rock, both shops. Jeff managed one in Heber. Well, that bottle of Scotch got us introduced into the most enduring learning session I've ever had in my life. Next thing you know, Jeff is not busy tomorrow. Hey, guys, you want to float the river? Sure. I thought I knew how to fish and was fairly good at catching fish. He's put me to a whole new level. It's just like it opened up the world.
So what did he do that was different? You know, because everybody seems like on the river's caught a fish or two or three or hundreds or whatever. But what was just a little bit of difference there? What
the main thing he did, and boy, you'll get a lot of slack over this probably. Indicator fishing.
Yeah,
that's something I'd never tried. You know, we were doing well with wet flies, some dry flies. You know, swinging woolly boogers and things like that. We were just out to catch fish,
right,
and learn a little as we went. But he started teaching how to use a strike indicator, and it just opened up a whole new world. But I'd fish to a run that he put me on. Didn't get a hit. And I walked down. He said, "Where you going?" I said, "There's no fish up there." I said, "Even though there looks like there should be. Come here." He put a piece of indicator on. He said, "Go back up there." And he said, "That's just a glorified bobber."
Yeah.
And I said, "Okay." I went back up there, made a cast, nothing. Came back, second cast, it stopped. I thought, oh, boom. Raised a rod. It opened up a world of just fantastic.
You know, you can nymph fish with an indicator pretty much all year.
Yes.
But sporadically, there are different times that you'll want to fish with something else, like a dry or terrestrial at this time of year. This is July. And then sometimes you'll want to fish streamers more. We fish more in the winter.
Yes.
But a nymph is pretty good all year. You're pretty much not guaranteed, but there's a really high likelihood you're going to catch some fish if you're nymphing under an indicator.
Yeah, you're going to have more fish feeding subsurface than you will on top.
Yeah.
So your nymphs and midges and pupas and all are a great choice to fish.
So were you just fishing? What were you fishing? Just one single nymph under there, or did you?
Sow bug. That's all you need in Arkansas. Sow bug.
That's a fact. That is a fact. Plenty of those over there.
Yes,
and
sir.
It doesn't matter if you're on the little red or the white or
North Fork.
It just doesn't matter, does it?
No, it does not.
I hope to get over there and record some of those folks as well, because I know there's some folks around over there that we need to get their story out, get it down, so that, so that somebody can listen to it. And before you go somewhere, it's a good thing to go listen to some podcasts, do some research online, and still go into the fly shops and do that. But have a mentality before you go over there. At least you'll know the right questions to ask, or at least you'll know there is a question to ask.
Oh, it's just but don't forget a bottle of Scotch. Cause it's dry there.
You're right, it is. There's one place to buy liquor there that's about probably an hour and a half on the right, the big store on the right going over. Yeah. Not that we have.
Yeah, we got knowing Jeff real well, and from then on, 2 or 3 times a year, we'd go down there and stay at his place for a week.
Wow.
The boy could cook. Oh, he could cook. It's just fantastic. Met a lot of guys, got access to some private property and all that for launching boats, and just the greatest time. We were there for years, several years, and then life kind of got busy. Didn't make it back. Jeff unfortunately got sick and passed away, and that was a sad situation. So, but good die young.
But he's passed along some information to you, made you a better angler.
Yes.
You've passed along, even on this podcast, you've passed along some information that hopefully somebody's out there going, I'm going to try those nymph things that they're talking about. Yeah. And if they're in the area, or they could even call and get some advice too. Yeah. I think it's important to be able to pass along some advice to people that are just starting, so that we can kind of keep the bucket full of people. We don't want it necessarily overflowing into our run that we want to fish.
Well, you can tell, and I tell folks all the time when they come in here, I can tell you what I'm fishing, where I'm fishing, how I'm fishing, but you don't see me doing. You don't know exactly what I'm doing. So
Yeah.
And it's just, it could be one little subtle thing that's different from what they're doing that makes that big difference.
It absolutely is.
And that kind of comes from years of being irresponsible.
All right, Ronnie, let's pay some bills here. Moonshine Rods, their mission is simple: to imagine, create, and distribute unique, well-built fly fishing rods at a price point that real people can afford. They craft their rods in hopes they inspire a revival. A return to the pure and simple spirit of adventure, moments that stir the soul. Strikingly designed, high performance, and built to last, every one of their small batch rods whispers the beginning of a unique story, one that's bound to be epic.
They are some great rods. over the years, here at the shop, naturally we've always been an Orbis dealer, and we've had other manufacturers as well too, and still have a couple of others. I've fished the Moonshine Drifter. Yeah, very impressed with the rod. It's a small company. I know one of the guys in the company. Hopefully one day I'll meet some of the others. The one guy that I know, you can't beat him. He's as good and down-to-earth person as you ever meet in your life. With the rods, okay, not many people are going to give you an extra tip with a rod today.
True.
What's the first thing you typically break is the tip.
Anywhere there's a ceiling fan.
Yes. So there you go. You've got one tip broke. You still have a tip to fish while you're sending one off for repairs. The rods are well built, look great, handle well, come with a nice separated tube, and a warranty. Just a good overall product.
Yeah, I agree. And we interviewed Tate early on.
Yes.
So there's a podcast out there. He's just a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew him back when he was a rock and roller.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about that. Yeah, he was a drummer.
Yeah.
But anyway, good guy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have the utmost respect for him. His family's he's got a fantastic family. Can't beat him. Can't beat him.
Let's move on. So Jeff was one of your influences, definitely. It sounds like he taught you a lot, but
right.
you walked away there with Nimpin. So what would be another influence?
More than likely my father and grandfather. My father, of course, he had to work pretty much to provide for us most of the time, but I kind of always knew when it's time I was going to have to start tilling the garden and planting tomatoes, because we would go fishing for fish guts to plant the tomatoes. So, and of course, Dad, he would always try to take us fishing when he could come up with a little time. But my grandfather had two sets of parents. We lived close together out there in town. I could go to one of them and, well, let's do this, let's fix that, let's do this, we're going to bale hay, and that was it. I'd go to the other one. Depending on what time of year it was, we'd go hunting or we'd go fishing. So naturally, I took the high road and went hunting and fishing. I'd learn about work later.
Right.
But, it's just, he was so patient with me, and naturally we were spin fishing, back then, and Zebco. He was patient with me. He would tell me what to do, show me what to do, how to tie a knot, and then just tell me to go away and leave him alone. So.
Tying a knot. What about that? That's one thing that I don't think we invest enough time in tying knots. And I'll tell people, go to Walmart, pick up some 20-pound test at night while you're watching TV.
Yeah.
Flip on some YouTube on your phone.
Yeah.
And pick you a knot out and tie it. You should be able to tie that knot without looking at it.
Yeah.
Because inevitably you're going to get on the river and it's going to be dark and your fly is going to break off or something crazy is going to happen and you're going to have to tie some knots.
Yeah. There's 3 knots you should know. Well, 4 actually. You need to know a knot for attaching your backing to your line. You need to know a knot for attaching your line to your backing. And how is your leader attached to the fly line? And how do you tie the fly on or add tippet to your leader? There's a few knots that you know and you're ready to go. This day and time, they've come out with some more knots. People have developed, they're always doing something different. There's many knots out there that are simple to tie, especially when you get kind of older like I am and the eyes start, getting older too. A little more simplicity helps.
Yeah.
You get to looking at 2-pound test tippet and, Lord, oh, there it is. Yeah. Then, okay, well, where's that little fly I was trying to attach it to? So, yes, knots are highly overlooked. Also, if you look at it another way, a knot is a weak point.
True.
But we rely on them.
Yeah.
Tied properly, you should be in good shape.
So your grandfather taught you how to tie some knots along the way?
Yes.
My grandparents, I guess my whole family, but my grandparents are the ones that I think about the most. So just about this time of year, I would go over to their house and they would take me up to Reelfoot, and they would influence me because of chocolate. My grandmother always had chocolate.
Yeah.
Always.
Oh, yeah.
And then really just the love of being outside fishing, even amongst, Reelfoot's got some snakes over there. We had a snake conversation earlier.
Yeah.
But even with that, I could stay out there with them. I guess I figured, maybe my grandfather could scare them away or whatever,
right.
Which may or may not have been true. But, they influenced me that way. So your grandfather, so you had one that worked a lot, and then the other one wanted to play some.
Yes. I mean, he worked hard during the week. He cut timber for a living.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So, yeah, he liked his weekend about as well as anybody else did.
Yeah.
He just enjoyed doing it. When I got a little bit older and he was playing ball and stuff, he was always there at games, and him and my grandmother, and, cheering me on. So, and just kept a good eye out for me. I think they set a pretty good example for me. Sometimes I might have strayed a little, but they helped me come up with a decent life. So
good for them. Definitely a good influence.
Mm-hmm.
You got Jeff, you got your grandfather taking you out.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your third influence. We talked a little bit before we pushed record on the recorder, and we were talking about blue lines.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to get real specific here.
Okay.
Not necessarily exactly where you fish.
Right.
But
in the water.
Yeah, right. But we want to talk about how you fish them, what you use, different times of year, stuff like that for the folks that are close to the blue lines. We're not real super close to blue lines here. Let's just go ahead and call that what it is. But we're within a 3-4 hour travel to where we can get to some, be standing in a blue line within 4 hours, I would think. Yeah. Pretty easy. So we were talking about the blue lines, and you were talking about maybe that was an influence for you. We can talk about that, or we can talk about Arkansas being an influence for you. It's just whichever way you want to do it.
I love both of them. In Arkansas, in fact, you got three of the most, best rivers in the nation, really. We've got a couple in this state, and a neighboring state or two. The blue line is something I don't get to do very often. It's something I take as my time. Something you're not going to hear me talk too much about. It's just, okay, there's no secrets. They're not secret. And people come in and ask me, so where do you fish? I said, Cherokee National Forest. And that covers a wide range. A lot of folks like to go to park. I don't like to go to the park because I don't want to put up with people.
Great Smoky Mountain National Park.
Yes.
There's a few people over there.
Yeah. So I go to the forest areas where, there's not that big of a crowd and stuff. Just don't get me wrong, there's some great streams in the park.
Yeah.
But I have been there and fished them, but I just prefer the national forest areas because they're a little more remote.
Yeah.
And not much around.
They're not as advertised as the park, which is good.
Yes.
And any squeaking around that y'all hear, Ellie Mae, Ronnie's dog, is in here. I swear, every other recording that we do, there's an animal of some kind roaming. I think we all have animals, and Ellie Mae is lucky enough to come to work with you. It looks like probably pretty much every day because she's got petting for everybody that walked through the door.
Correct. She's our official greeter.
Yeah, and she's got food from about 3 of them.
Yeah.
But she's made herself right at home here. So the forest, the national forest, and the blue lines. So there's a couple of rivers over there that are pretty good size, for mountain rivers. But so do you go up? So do you fish those types of rivers, or do you go up to the tributaries?
We'll fish them some, especially towards maybe some of the winter months and things like that. When smaller tributaries you speak of are, really just almost too cold to fish.
Yeah.
Actually, the bigger rivers can somewhat be, but it's a different style of fishing. You're fishing big, you're fishing deep. You're not looking for fish, you're looking for the fish when we do that.
So by the fish, what do you mean? I
would like to say natural-born fish, more than likely, and a lot of streams are going to be holdovers.
Right.
But in my opinion, that one that's, somewhat been in the river a long time and survived what he has, I can say almost called a natural fish. And heaven forbid they reproduce. I mean, that'd be terrible.
Right.
But anyway, yep. I like the tributaries better. They're smaller, challenging. The fish aren't going to be huge. You can hold them in your hand.
Right.
If you get one that's longer than your hand, let's get the camera out and take a picture of this one. Or you'll take a picture of all of them because they're so beautiful.
They really are.
It is nothing like going to a tailwater or anywhere else. You stop. Okay, I didn't catch many fish today, but what did I see? Where was I at? I didn't see a thing. I didn't see no trash. It was just us and nature, and that one bear that scared the crap out of me. So,
And there's no path beside the creek either.
No, there's some of your creeks that are kind of little known, or can be a path on them. Some of them actually have horse trails near them and all too. So I mean, some of them can be easy to access.
Yeah.
As you know, it's the same way in tailwater fishing. If you're willing to walk half a mile to a mile, you get away from somebody.
You have to be willing to put a little distance between you and
Yes.
the other guy.
Yes.
I mean, if you really want to get out, and where you're talking about in the forest, there are a lot of people that go up there, but you don't really see them because there are enough streams up there that you
Right.
can actually get away.
Yep.
And you don't have to fish like some of the tailwaters where you can almost cast to the guy down from you or up from you.
Right.
You're talking about the things that you see up there in bears.
Mm-hmm. It's actually scary to see a human up there that you didn't know was there than a bear. So
Yeah.
you know the bear is probably somewhere, then all of a sudden a human pops up. It's like, that's scary.
I don't know if there's anything worse than being out in the middle of you think nowhere and all of a sudden you smell cigarette smoke but you don't see anybody.
Yeah.
That's almost unnerving.
Yeah. Well, at least there's no sense in going any further fishing that area.
Yeah, right. So we were up there on one of the blue lines one day. We actually went up and spent a few days camping and fishing, and we fished a fairly well known one, but it kind of went back into the woods away from the road, so that was the area we were fishing.
Right.
And I was cutting through to catch up to my buddy to say, hey, I'm hungry, let's go back and grab something to eat. And I saw this broken off tree. It was an old dead tree.
Right.
It was broke off probably, I don't know, 8 or 9 foot above, and there was a hole in it, and there was a old beehive laying on the ground, and there were bear marks, probably up about 6-7 feet, up above my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a whole lot wider than your hand.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So anyway, I found my buddy pretty quick. It wasn't hard for me to get to him. But I mean, most of the time, if you see a bear, you're going to see his bud anyway.
Yeah.
He's going to be running
or
from
smell
you.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've smelled more than I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And it's a smell that makes the hair stand up on your neck.
And it's not like anything else.
No.
Either. It's totally different. It's almost like a smell that you're like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's not Chanel No. 5.
No, it's not. It's not. So when you go up there, what do you try to fish? What's your favorite type of or way to fish up there? I know fly fishing, but let's get a little more specific.
Well, for most time up there, it's going to be dry flies. I mean, the fish, you have hatches up there. I mean, you got these little streams sometimes that may be, 5 or 6 foot wide, 10 foot at the widest maybe. Mm-hmm. Sometimes a little wider. But there are hatches, there's bugs that, we don't see, on a lot of the other places where we do fish, unfortunately. But you get up there and you come anywhere near close to what is hatching, and it's game on.
Yeah.
The only worst thing is those tree gypsies and gremlins that follow you around. You go to make a cast, you look behind you, it's clear. You cast, there's a tree right where there wasn't one before.
Yeah. I don't know how they move and get there that quick.
I know, and without making a sound.
Right. You think you would hear them?
Yes.
Yeah, because you sure didn't see them.
No.
It's all
or
your
the
senses.
Tree.
Yeah, all your senses need to kick in, but apparently they figured out how to get around that.
But I mean, I don't take it all to anything seriously anymore fishing wise. I just go to have fun and enjoy myself. They're biting, fantastic. They're not biting, fantastic. I'm out. I'm not working. I'm in a beautiful place. But I love dry fly fishing up there. It's something you can relatively rely on most times. Drop a nymph off of one can be rewarding. A 6-inch fish feels like a monster when it hits you up there in some of those currents, and it's just makes you feel like a kid again.
And do you fish bamboo up there?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. I've wild fished bamboo, fiberglass, and graphite.
Yeah. What weight rods do you use?
Mostly 3 on the fiberglass and graphites. Line them up with a 4-weight line, just to turn the fly over easier. The bamboos are a 4 and 5.
Yeah. So you're talking about turning the fly over. That was one thing that it took me forever to figure out what that even meant. In the overlining a rod, sometimes will get, since you're not casting. It's not a river runs through it up there by any means.
Right.
It's more dabbing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. And I think this day and time, the 10 carat is taking a hold.
Yeah.
On fishing that way. Well, years ago when I was carrying a 9-foot rod or a 9.5-foot rod up in there, and was just poking in. Oh, did I invent tenkara? Or even what about our ancestors? The ones that were up there with just old cane poles.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah.
We just think we started something. We're just bringing up on what's been here for a long time.
Yeah, and I've always wanted to get up. I probably said this before, but I've always wanted to go up there and just find a long stick, a long piece of cane, whatever, and tie some line on it and just see how many fish I could catch, or if I could even catch one.
All you could do is stay low.
Yeah.
We're going to stay low anyway, and try to stay in the shadows, and same difference. I guarantee you'll catch a fish.
Everybody wants to talk about how smart the wild fish are and this and that, but I think God just gave them instincts more than he did anything, more than brains.
Well, too, they're not like a lot of our tailwater fish and things like that, where there's actually we hope a whole lot more food sources.
Yeah.
More readily available. Up there, you're not going to have as many per, say, mile, but they've got to work for every parcel of food they get. So they're not going to pass up too many opportunities if it's a good presentation.
All right, so that brings me to another question, and I'm thinking specifically about the bear story a while ago, but so if you can picture in your mind this little stretch of river, maybe it's 30 feet long. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like a long pool.
Yeah.
At the back of that pool, the water starts speeding up just a little bit. In the middle of that pool, it's kind of dead.
Yeah.
At the head of that pool, there's two rocks, and the water comes right between the two rocks and picks up some speed there. So everybody got a pretty clear picture of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
How do you fish that?
Yeah, that's when you wish you had a 16-foot rod. Because you can get up there in some cases with too short of a rod, and if you can make a cast into that water, you can't control the fly line with a short rod.
That's true.
Typically, what I try to do, I will start fishing at the very tail out where I'm at. I mean, right there under my feet. I will let some flies come right up to my feet, because you never know what's fixing to scoot out from under you. Naturally, toward the middle, I'm kind of giving it a little bit of a dead zone thinking.
Yep.
But I will put a shot or two in, out to the sides or anything else I see like cover. And hopefully I can walk and maneuver up close to the rocks and the swifter water and look which side has the shallowest or which side has the deepest on the runoff. Typically I'll go with the shallow side first. And then after I fish that, I'll switch over toward, in between, then over to the right side if it's deeper, and fish that last. I will, when doing that, I'll probably go back to a nymph and all underneath, under a dry, to fish that slower water like that as well, just to get something down and see if there's something hopefully laying down there. Then after that, right up into where the water's tumbling down in front of the rocks. Try to pile a cast in there a little bit where she won't back out on you so much, and let it sink and kind of go around with the current and watch, because if it happens, it will be fast.
You're talking about right in the middle there, putting that nymph on.
Yeah.
In the middle, those fish are probably a little more spooky, because there's not much up above them in that dead zone for them to think, all right, I can get out here and eat some. Right. They're going to be kind of tucked a little closer in the middle there, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If you're talking about the type of water that we're talking about, the dead zone in the middle.
Yeah.
They're gonna not want to come out quite as easy. So if you put a nymph in front of their face and make them make their decision, a lot of times it'll be the right decision for us.
Right.
Wrong decision for them, maybe.
Yeah.
And then that top up there that you're talking about, I fished for a bag one time for about 30 minutes with a friend of mine, where the water was coming through between two big rocks, and it was roaring through there.
Yeah.
And it was a plastic bag after. In my defense, I didn't fish for it very long, and then whenever I figured out it was a plastic bag, I let him fish for it for about another 15 minutes before I said,
encouraging.
Yeah, right. I think he'd been after it that time.
Lord, I think we've all done that.
Yeah, we've all fished for something that wasn't exactly what we thought it was. So what about weight if you're fishing a nymph? Obviously not with a dry, but if you're fishing a nymph, how important is weight up there?
I like to have a pretty well-weighted fly on the nymph. I mean, simply because that water is doing things that, it's moving more with force than some of your tailwaters where, it's moving slower, or warm water, or any other creek for that matter. That water is moving. Fly isn't getting down just because it had a bead head on it. Even if it's tungsten, you need to have some weight on there. Sometimes I'll use the tungsten putty to help get a weighted fly even down further. It's fantastic when you get into an area and high stick a set of flies through some water. Even, okay, you come up on a rock. You can't see the other side of the rock, but you've seen what it was coming out. The rod goes up over the rock, you hold it on, all of a sudden that rod starts wiggling. You couldn't see it.
Right.
But you got it. It was there, and that's the only way you were going to get to it.
Yeah, and you know they're there in your mind, and then all of a sudden you catch one, and you're like, okay, I was right.
Of course, there's nobody around to believe it happened, but
no. Sometimes that's okay.
A bonus.
It's been so long since I've been up there. Now that we're talking about it, I'm thinking, when was the last time I was up there? And it's been a long time. I bet it's been 15 years.
Well, Lord, I hadn't been that long, but it's been too long for me.
Yeah, I need to get back up there. And I don't know, the camping's part of it, the campfire, the fishing. It's the whole experience of being up and away from pretty much from everybody else.
And heaven forbid you just sit out there around the fire and look up in the sky.
The neatest thing for me, we went up there. This was probably the last time we were up there, but it was night. We had a fire going. Of course, we've got a roaring fire going. I look up and I was like, okay, it's pretty clear because, there's the moon. And then about 2 hours later, I looked back up and we were on the side of the mountain.
Right.
And I said, where's the moon, guys? It was gone. And I thought, well, it must have, went to one side of the mountain or the other. And then about 20 minutes later, I looked back up and there it was again.
Yeah.
And so we sat up through an eclipse, which was one of the neatest things ever that we had seen, and it was a real bright, heavy moon too, because you knew something was going on. You just didn't know what it was until it came back out, and that was really it's just something else that you experienced that.
Oh yeah. Find you a place 5,000-6,000 feet elevation, where the moon's going to rise from.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, this thing comes up looking bigger than a Greyhound bus.
Yes. It's bigger than it ever would be here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it's just sometimes I think just fishing up there is not about fishing. It's just being there and seeing scenery. But catching a fish is a bonus. I don't care what you're doing.
Yeah.
Caney Fork, a farm pond, a creek. You catch a fish, that was a bonus to your day. So.
Yeah. I like to say other people are in here out there watching it on TV, and I'm out here doing it.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
I was in Florida.
Of course, everything they got's free, and driving big fancy trucks and all this stuff.
I was in Florida one time on vacation. I was the only one at the vacation house that we were staying in, and I was watching this guy catch redfish, and on TV. I'm just sitting there, 10 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, just sitting there watching TV, and I was thinking, man, I'd like to do that. And then all of a sudden, I said, wait a minute. I turned the TV off, grabbed my rod, went over to the bay side, and he caught a redfish. So that's kind of where I really got that saying other people are watching it on TV, because I was watching it on TV and sitting right there. So getting out and experiencing it is a big deal.
Some shows on TV have been or can be very educational as well.
True.
And my God, today you've got the internet.
Yeah.
Back when I got started going in all this, basically this is the only fly shop I knew of, other than had Bill Clay's and I can't remember the name of the other one, Rod and Gun, I believe.
Yeah. Chuck was here. Was he here yet?
No, he wasn't here yet.
Yeah.
When I first come in this store, there was a few rods up there and a little bitty fly box and flies in it, and that was a fly shop.
Come quite a ways since then.
There's just, I don't know, there's something like, say, about walking into a fly shop or something like that and talking to someone that's been doing something or knows what's been doing and learning. Hopefully you can go to a fly shop somewhere and they will help you.
Most are really good about it.
Yeah.
There are some out there that are.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. But there's some of those in everything you do.
That's true. That's true.
But I don't try. I don't dwell on them, and I don't go back to them.
Yeah.
Either
some folks ask me questions. I'm not big on salt water.
Yeah.
I say, hey, guys, there's a couple other shops here in town that can help you. I can tell you something, but I don't know.
Yeah.
There's no sense in, telling them wrong and making them have a bad experience. So.
Right. Well, Ronnie, I know you were really looking forward to this.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I had several folks tell me that you need to be interviewed for these exact stories that we've been able to talk about this evening, and I appreciate you letting us in, and Ellie Mae for entertaining us wherever she's got off to now.
Probably. Trying to eat the power cords.
Probably, yeah. She was trying to eat the power cords a while ago, right in the middle of the conversation. So again, we're here with the mobile studio, sitting inside Cumberland Transit at the Fly Shop, talking to Ronnie Grumpy Howard, and I don't know where did the grumpy part come from.
Before coffee.
Before coffee. Boy, that's a fact. That's me. That could be 90% of us.
Yeah. Or some folks say it's all day, but I don't know.
I don't know that I believe that. I do want to go fishing in your boat though. I haven't been in it yet.
Me neither.
We need to get out and let me try that thing out a little bit for speed. But again, I appreciate you bringing us out here and hosting us at Cumberland Transit, and appreciate everybody listening. Talk to you next time.
Well, good deal. I appreciate being here, and if nobody didn't understand a thing, welcome to my world.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank y'all.